to have Syed Babar Ali with us. Babar Saab is, I just told him that when I was a kid in school in Sacred Heart, because Babar Saab, when he was until his 3rd grade, went to Sacred Heart. So you can imagine Babar Saab as a 5-year-old boy running around. So Sacred Heart, we shared the same alma mater. And the sisters over there would tell us when I was a student there that Syed Babar Ali has donated money to his alma mater, the school. So I grew up. So when I'd leave school, then I would go to HSN College to pick up my brothers, and there would be the Syed Babar Ali library there. So there was Syed Babar Ali over there. And then many years later, when I went to Harvard, I found out that the only Pakistani who had given any money and $1 million to Harvard to set up a South Asian institute over there was Syed Babar Ali. So then when I was moving back to Pakistan, the School of Education of one of its own kind that was going to be set up at a university that was one of its own kind was set up by Syed Babar Ali. So Babar Saab has been a recurrent inspiration and part of my journey, and we are so privileged to have him here with us. And indeed, we are all here because of him. So we're going to do some Q&A with Babar Saab, but we'll get to that because before that, we want to have the shepherd that's taking us all in this university, the Vice-Chancellor of LUMS is here with us. Dr. Arshad Ahmad, we're very lucky that he accepted the offer to be the Vice-Chancellor because he himself comes with a tremendous education background. So we're very happy that the Vice-Chancellor of the university has a soft spot for our school. So we're very happy about that. And of course, Shahid Hussain Saab, he is the rector of the university, an amazing individual who's been a part of the School of Education journey since it was an idea, it was deliberated in the management committee meetings. And I think one of the people who gave me the toughest time with the financials and everything. So, but it's really been a pleasure. So it's a rare thing to have all of them together. And they're here. So with that, I'll ask Dr. Ahmad to please come and give us his comments.
First of all, can you hear me without the mic? Yes. Excellent. Okay, very good. So, first of all, I want to acknowledge, of course, our founding Pro-Chancellor, Syed Babar Ali Saab, Rector Shahid Saab, Mariam, Dean Andrabi, colleagues, the class of 2021. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Really, it's good to be here, and I'm so happy I have a chance to welcome each and every one of you. I'll start with one of my favorite quotes, and it's from the visionary H.G. Wells, who described the essence of education as, quote, human history becomes more and more a race between education and catastrophe. So this race, I believe, and I really think from the bottom of my heart, and I think you will share this as well, that education is going to win that race. I think this is a relay race where we have to pass the baton of how we learn to someone else. And of course, the School of Education is really well positioned to lead the race. Now, I look at this program, I've learned quite a bit about it since I've been here now for a year. We started together on this journey. And I am so proud of the work that the Dean has led with all of the faculty members here. Had a chance to interact with them quite a lot. The curriculum is the world's best. It's really strong. And you know, there's certain things that really stand out. For example, there are many programs in higher education, but MPhil attracts a lot of women. In fact, how many women are here? Certainly more than half of the room. I think this is a real victory for LUMS because when it comes to human development, not only do we need women role models who are essential, we have to break many barriers will strengthen their leadership roles and positions. I think, in fact, if we disproportionately invest in women's education, we are going to win that race as well. The other thing I notice about the program, of course, it's a leadership program. So this means that we're not only developing leaders, we're also attracting leaders. So I'll ask another question to you. How many of you have held some sort of a leadership position at any level in any organization? It doesn't really matter. This too is a real victory for LUMS because, of course, it's a blessing. We're going to be learning a lot from you. Now, everyone here is aspiring an education that's going to amplify some purpose. I start with the etymology of the word education. It's derived from educatio or educe, which is to lead, which is to conduct, which is to raise, and which is to uplift others. And it's such a good reminder. It's a humble reminder that our purpose is greater than ourselves when we think about education. So your purpose, part of your purpose will be derived, of course, from world-class knowledge and the curriculum that you're about to experience. But I think a good part of it is also going to be derived from the unwritten curriculum. And the unwritten curriculum, when I think about it, really boils down to the people that you're going to spend your time with. This is also going to be a race against time. People say the MBA program is the one where you manage time. I think that may be true, but so is the MPhil. This is a degree where time will be your most precious commodity. So I'm going to offer you another one of my favorite quotes from an anthropologist, Margaret Mead. And she had challenged the conventional wisdom of doing things all alone, and this is what she said. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. And indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So let's think about that world for a moment that you want to change. Where is that world? I think most of us will agree, though, that world is at our doorstep, right? The opportunities to make a difference in Pakistan clearly are at your doorstep. You will hear all sorts of facts and figures, but it is quite obvious that as this young country has all the challenges, it also offers one of the greatest demographic dividends that is really truly staggering. And as someone who's lived in Canada for most of his life, I tend to remind myself that 2/3 of all Canadians, which adds up to some 24 million people, are equivalent to as many young children in Pakistan who are out of school. These kids are at your doorstep. So, when we think about moving forward, and you've got a great leader who has not just spent the last year bringing people together, but as I mentioned, his focus on curriculum. You'll also learn, if you haven't already, that Tahir is a data-driven guy. He's very keen to measure impact. And if you look at all the metrics, and you'll see many of them, there's no doubt that Pakistan compares quite poorly with its South Asian neighbors. So you can think of the glass as half empty or half full, and I tend to think it's half full because this is a tremendous opportunity for us. And you can measure what you like in terms of per capita income or what have you, but we are here to make a difference. And the point is that that world that you want to change is not in South Asia, it is right here at our doorstep. I'll also make, again, the reference to that quote from Margaret about small groups, that you probably think that small group is going to be perhaps in this room, if not with the cohort from last year, that it is in the School of Education, and that may be certainly true. But I think if you look a little bit beyond this building, I would encourage you to seek partnerships from all of your colleagues in the schools of business, schools of science and engineering, School of Humanities and Social Science, School of Law. I mean, these schools have colleagues just like you who are looking for a purpose. And your responsibility, I think, in joining this university is to seek out those individuals as they are looking for you and form those partnerships that are going to make a difference. So, the class of 2021, of course, we want to encourage you to go ahead and dream, make a difference in this fastest growing sector in Pakistan, and of course to amplify your purpose. But I think we should keep in mind that most of your interventions aren't necessarily going to win all of the accolades and the attention and the publicity that one might expect. But I think you'll win something far more important. You're going to win the hearts and you're going to win the minds of every other discipline combined. I say this because I truly believe that the mother of all disciplines is education. And while we are an academic institution, we offer specialization through our schools. I think we're also united by our cultural traditions. And these are shared cultural traditions across the schools. So if we think about education as a cultural adventure, that means we have to build the capacity within ourselves for reflection about our own culture and about the culture of others. So if we look through the lens of philosophy or the arts and the sciences and everything else that LUMS has to offer, let's try and build our cultural self-consciousness as citizens of the 21st century. So I'll conclude by assuring you that the administration here, the staff here, your teachers, especially your teachers, they are by your side. They are here throughout your journey at LUMS and beyond. You will find them, of course, in the classrooms, but also in the hallways, in the events, inside and outside, in the sports facilities that we have, which I encourage you to use. And obviously at your convocation, we expect to see all of you there. I personally look forward to attending some of the seminars, maybe even co-leading a couple of them if I'm invited, and certainly look forward to learn from you. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmad. So we'll start with Babar Saab. Babar Saab, we have a group of people who think that they're very talented. And they've just gotten admitted into this program, and they've been told all morning about how fantastic this program is. They already know how fantastic LUMS is. What can you teach them about humility?
Well, I mean, the fact that they have gotten shows that they have.
Or Mike Kareeb Khan.
The fact that
He's working.
the fact that they are here today shows that they have competence and they have a basic ability. Our effort here will be, inshallah, to develop their potential, to make sure that we provide them every opportunity to improve themselves. And this improvement will not come just from your directing staff or the academic leaders that you will have. You will learn perhaps more from each other. And I would urge you to have that mind and that attitude to learn from each other, because learning is a lifelong commitment. And I'm very happy to see that this is a much younger cohort that you had against the previous one.
It's a younger looking one.
No, also no, younger looking, and also I've seen the age group, which is very good, because by the time you complete your your program here, it shows that they will have many more years to go and impact in the fields wherever they go, to make a difference in the lives of others. You know, the thought behind setting up of the School of Education is not to train teachers, but to create, to give an opportunity to develop leadership who will go and make a difference in education in Pakistan, whether it's in policy, whether it's in development of curriculum, whether it's in pedagogy. You'll be the pioneers of bringing new ideas into education. And as the Vice-Chancellor said, that the opportunity is tremendous. If you look around the world, in the last 200 years, the countries that have made it a marked improvement in their own quality of life is only because of education. You take a country like Switzerland, it has no natural resources at all. You look at Japan, you look at Singapore, they are today leaders of the world because they invested in education. If you look at the history of America, 150 years ago, America was as primitive as any country in the world. And they then decided not only to develop their own education system, but also to attract the best educations around the world. And the best minds of the world, they attracted to America, provided them all the opportunity to grow. We in this country have this challenge that very few people want to come to Pakistan. So you have a double responsibility of making up for those who are not coming, and then taking on the challenge of equipping yourselves so that each one of you can go and make a difference to the well-being of the people that you come into contact. You know, there is a saying that only two people in this world are happy to see somebody overtake them. One are the parents. They want their children to be better than them. And the other are the teachers. They want every student to be better than them. And that is the spirit that you will have to inculcate in yourself, that whoever you work with, you try and make that person better than yourself. So I wish you all well. This is a fantastic opportunity. And we rely on you to be the future developers of Pakistan. Thank you.
Babar Sahib, we have more questions of you. So, Babar Sahib, we also spoke this morning about how they will have to unlearn. They're not here only to learn, but also to unlearn. And Dean Andrabi was speaking about it in particular. Can you speak about how to fail with grace and how to fail in a way that you learn the most from it? What is your advice to these people who are starting this program on failing and failure?
Well, unlearn really is not a challenge because you've already probably forgotten everything that you read. So, so long as you can read, write, and think for yourself, I think you've done well. Now, as far as learning is concerned, it's a lifelong commitment. You've got to have an open mind. You've got to be you've got to be humble. You know, I've had the privilege of meeting Nobel laureates, people who are recognized by the world as unique people in ability, and they don't carry their rank on their shoulder at all. They always make you feel that you know better than them. So if a Nobel laureate can conduct himself in that way with humility, there's no reason why any of you should feel more self-centered than that. And you know, my father used to tell me, "Beta, usi darakht ko phal lagta hai jo jhukta hai." So if you really want to get anywhere in life, you've got to have an open mind. And one of the basic requirements of education is that you should have no hang-ups at all. You should have an open mind. I mean, the Quran teaches you that. Your leaders of your religion or creed, whatever your belief is, they time and again tell you that there is a new world to be discovered, and you have to have that thirst, that ability, that passion that you have to keep on improving yourself. I'm standing before you, and 93 plus, I'm still learning, and I'm in this room because I want to learn from you.
Not only are you 93 plus and still learning, he's making sure all of us work hard. Babar Sahib works 6 days a week. On the Sundays, he calls us to his Haveli in inner city Lahore and takes an update over there over free breakfast. So Babar Sahib keeps us on our toes all the time as well. So that's another aspect to being 93. Babar Sahib, our students, both the class of 2020 and now this class of 2021, they are going to be working in a system that is stereotyped very correctly many times to be a broken system, to be a corrupt system, and to be a dysfunctional system. And they will be told time and again that ye Pakistan hai, yahan tarike different hai. Can you speak about ethics and how one maintains their integrity, not just in terms of the quality of work that they do, but specifically in terms of the honesty with which they do it? Because ethics is really eroding in our society. How can you maintain that?
You know, I mean, depends on the individual. I mean, take the example of this institute where you're sitting. It's different from other institutes because people who launched this this journey did not want to compromise on anything. I don't know of a single person either in the faculty or among the students who was not recruited on merit in the last 35 years. So, and we've had all kinds of pressures, all kinds of influences, all kinds of threats. We just did not accept anything. I can tell you in my business life, we have faced similar challenges, similar threats. But if you want to stay on the straight and narrow path, nobody can change you. You have to have that confidence and that determination in yourself. I mean, you take the example of your own religion, your prophet. I mean, the challenges that he faced. He was so humble. He was so you know, he didn't go to war with anybody. He was always there to seek peace. And 1400 years later, he has billions of people following him. Only on one thing, that he did not compromise. So you have examples around the world. So I think you have to have that ability, that confidence in yourself, that you have to stick to your whatever you believe in. And I can tell you, if you give in once, you will give in all the time. So the first step, you have to make sure that you stick to whatever you believe in.
I'll ask Shahid Saab a question and then come to you for one final question, Babar Saab. And then we'll take a couple of questions from the students as well. So Shahid Saab, LUMS now has 5 schools. And when this idea of setting up a school of education came up, lots of people didn't believe that there was demand for it. And if this would be a good idea, everybody agreed that, yes, it's a good thing to do. But you believed in the idea, and you felt that not only a teacher training school, but a education leadership and management school was important enough to prioritize. Why did you feel that way? Why is this a priority for LUMS?
Thank you, Mariam. Let me also welcome Professor Kamran, the Provost, and also the Dean of School of Social Sciences and Humanities, Dr. Rabi, and the other 2 deans, Dr. Shahid Masood and Professor Bhimani. See, when there are 2 schools in this university about which there was a lot of deliberation. Of course, we started with the business school, and then very early on, the School of Social Sciences and Humanities came about because we wanted to start an undergraduate program. But then came the time when we started talking about the School of Science and Engineering. And we deliberated a lot. We set up a committee of three very fine academics. They went around the entire country, met all the industry, and tried to figure out why we should have a School of Science Engineering and what should be the purpose. And the outcome of those studies was that in Pakistan, the engineering education enables people to maintain plants and all, but is not training them to be able to design, whether it is systems or products. And this was one key takeaway from that. The other important message that we got through Babar Saab and his contacts on the West Coast in the US was that don't necessarily prepare your graduates to solve the immediate Pakistan problems. Prepare them to be world citizens, to be able to go anywhere in the world and to set that up. So we set it up with the concept of no boundaries. And we said the science and engineering should coexist and interact. So the next hard deliberations were about the School of Education. The School of Law was an offshoot. The program already existed in the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. And we just graduated it to a school. But the education was a lot of deliberation. Babar Saab kept talking to us, and we all eventually realized the need for the kind of program that we have set up here, which is different from what other universities are doing or attempting. And I think it is unique in the sense that it has been put together from ground zero. It has not been modeled on anything that existed close by. It has been put together from ground zero with specific objectives. And those being, as Babar Saab talked, one of them being that we are not here to produce teachers, we are here to produce thought leaders, because we feel that the education system to which you referred as broken, it really is broken, and the weight of the incoming population, the demographics that we look at, it is so heavy on us who can contribute that this became an essential project. Despite a lot of, as you alluded to, a lot of financial considerations which were very challenging. And thanks to Babar Saab, who underwrote a big part of almost the first few years of the program. And the challenge now, of course, is on the school leadership to see how the future sustainability goes on. So it is a no-brainer in a way. The deliberations were how to set it up, what should the content be, how should it be styled, what kind of a program to start, whether undergraduate, graduate, or what. So those were the kind of deliberations. The objective itself was never in question, really. So I think that is the spirit with which this project came about.
Right. Thank you. Babar Saab, one last question before we open it up to the students. What would you say makes a successful life?
Well, one is you've got to be lucky. There's no, and the other thing is try and be as honest as you can and work hard. And don't look for any applause. Don't look for any credit. The work itself should be satisfying, and don't look for any medals or any honors or any recognition of that kind. No, I think that is something which they will learn through time, that these things are very frivolous, to be recognized. And the most satisfaction they will get is of the work that they do on the ground and enable others to do better than them. I think that would be their satisfaction.
Thank you, Babar Saab. Yes, please.
I think this is the School of Education, and the program that we have set up is really a continuation of what has been going on at LUMS. if we see as a young university, the faculty and the leaders now have Dr. Arshad, and the leadership has really gone about in a way that this small institution has had a significant impact on education in Pakistan. Whether it was the start of a 4-year undergraduate degree, which enabled all our graduates to go and be admitted at all universities around the world, all good institutions. Before that, it was not possible. With a 14-year undergraduate degree, you could not get into any program. And for a small university at that time, it was a big risk to announce a 4-year program, because parents and all students were all used to committing themselves both in terms of time and financial resources just for a 2-year program. But it is the belief that the seniors, the founders of the university had in the idea of education and what it should be, that has enabled the rest of us to take such calls. So I think it is a continuation of what this university is all about. It is all about making a difference to the lives of those who come here, and through them to impact the society in general. And as Dr. Ahmad mentioned earlier, and I would like to endorse that, I think one of the other very big impacts that this university has had, which I do not know how noticed or acknowledged it is, it has enabled a very large number of young women of this country to get higher education. This has become a launching pad. The young ladies are getting admissions all over the world in some of the best institutions and are showing up in various fields, in whichever field they are going. So it's a continuation of what it started off this university.
I'd just like to add one thing else. I'd like to compliment Dr. Andrabi and his team that how they are structuring your curriculum here is not only based on their best wisdom, but once a year or maybe more than once a year, they have an advisory board of people, who are leaders in education around the world. And they consult them, they bounce off their ideas with them, and as a result of this collective wisdom that they are able to get from the thinkers of both Europe and America and elsewhere to develop a program so that you can learn in the best possible way.
Dr. Ahmad, would you like to also add to what you think? You've been at a university for so much of your time, and you have actually a very nice comparative perspective of graduate students across different universities. What makes a successful graduate student, and what makes a successful life?
Thanks, Mariam. It's hard to add to all the wisdom you've heard already, but I'll say a couple of things. So, for example, that in my own journey in spending my earlier years in academia and the business school and having an accounting degree, a finance degree, and so on, I realized that, while that was exciting and I taught in the area, I did research in the area, there was something really missing. There was a gap because there was another purpose that I wanted to fulfill, and it wasn't being realized through that sector or that area. And I stumbled into teaching and learning and got very excited about how human beings learn, especially about how teachers who enable that learning, they are the biggest variable that influence students. The lack of understanding teachers have about student learning, and there were many of us who felt that we could contribute in that way. So my PhD, which is in psychology, opened a completely different door to me to understand how academics think and work across disciplines. And then as a teacher, we all have had a chance to also contribute through administration. And the conclusion, the sort of stepping back from all this is the following. I mean, there is an institution that thrives, and you've heard it from Baba Saab and Shahid Saab, has to have an institutional vision. It's trying to fulfill something bigger than its students. It needs to do a lot more. So the business school did that in Pakistan. It contributed to a class of managers, and that we can see through our 13,000 alumni. Many of them are the business leaders who are in Pakistan and overseas. The impact is visible. Now, I think there is an equal gap with education. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind that this is the point in time where, just as we were 35 years ago with management, we are with education, where there is a gap, and this university has something to offer through your leadership. So, number one, you go to an institution or you work in an organization where you feel that vision is aligned with your own. So the fit has to be there for individuals like yourself who feel, I need to do something with my life. And this institution, this program, the people in it, my colleagues, are going to allow me to leverage, multiply, amplify my own path in life. And so in the greater scheme of things, I think this is a journey you're going through, and there will be many more bumps in the road. But it's a period for reflection. It's a period where you can do things, you can fail safely, you can try bold and courageous things, you can do things that people don't notice, but you do. And so if it's meaningful for you, what better experience can you ask for when you think that you've landed in a place where you have an opportunity to, in fact, interact with not just the best and brightest, but also people from the most disadvantaged areas from Pakistan. I mean, this is a tapestry of Pakistan. And it's not just in the School of Education. You have to get out of the school to understand where people are coming from and spend time with them. Many of them, I would say 1 out of 3 of them, we have the statistics and data for that, who are getting support, financial support, from 30% to 130% of their tuition, especially the NOP scholars. We need to celebrate that. We need to uplift ourselves by learning from them and not think of them as someone who have something missing. In fact, they have a lot to offer. And that diversity is present in this room, but it's present in the institution. So I think my reflections is break your traditional boundaries, try different things, be courageous. You need courage. You need courage more than anything else to be able to try things that are going to be really meaningful for others that you feel are important in your life.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll take a few questions. We'll take 2 or 3 of them together, do 1 round of responses, and then another round. So when you ask a question, the rules at SOE, introduce yourself with your name. A question ends with a question mark, and it is short. Okay? All right. So who's coming first?
So my question is from
Your name?
for Farwa Tasadduq, and my question is for everyone in the panel, and maybe Mr. Andrabi can answer that. What are your expectations where do you see us after getting graduated from here after 5 or 10 years?
Well, he'll be telling you in office hours pretty frequently, whether you like it or not. But perhaps the panel can say, what would you, Shaisa, would you like to take that?
Okay. I think all of you come from a different background, and although you will be going through the same program, but the takeouts for all of you will be individually different. It will have a different flavor. And what I think the institution expects is that you, by the time you're through with this program, you will have a much clearer idea about what you want to do and how you can contribute to the idea of education. And the way the program is designed to train you, we expect you to have some kind of an impact in whatever side, whether it is policy, management, or whatever, in which the others will be able to follow you. It is a very big and vast country. The opportunities are just tremendous. We are not just talking about the few large cities, it's the entire population. It can be impacted through various means. And all of that is designed in the program to train you to be able to have an impact. And that is our expectation, that once you've graduated, you are clear enough about things to plan to have an impact in whatever area you choose.
So I gave an example earlier today that we could have picked 50 students from DHA if we wanted. What we didn't want to do was select people who would treat this, because I saw that a lot in the US, that people would write in their personal statements that I come from Pakistan. They would talk about all the poverty. And it wouldn't have been one semester that they had gotten into the top programs, that they were looking for consulting jobs and ways to just move out and find. So they really just use the program as an opportunity to do, and you see that in a lot of different things, and Teach for Pakistan and others, that people write everything on the application, but it's really just to get a stamp on their resume. So we would hope that you treat this opportunity seriously, and you don't reduce it to a stamp of a graduate degree from a reputable institution, but rather, because that you could have gotten elsewhere as well. But you take this opportunity seriously and you use it to give back to your communities. I think that's one of the things.
I'd also like to encourage you to, this is the first day, so this perhaps a year down the road, when you're settling down and you're picking up ideas and picking up thoughts as to what you want to do in future, look around and see among your peers here who, use them as a sounding board, and see if more than one person can develop an idea and work as a team. Because I have seen a lot of people in later life embark on very adventurous journeys as a team rather than as an individual. So you can reinforce each other by sharing your thoughts. For you to pick and choose who your peers would be, but somebody that you've got the right chemistry with, and ideas where they can guide you and you can guide them, you can supplement each other's knowledge. So develop ideas as to what you can do as a group rather than as an individual. I think that could be one of the alternatives that you could reflect upon.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Faisal Saleh Raza, you were talking about the impact and influence of your graduates in education sector. So I want to ask, are these graduates be facilitated with some sort of innovation labs, or will they be able to launch their startups here and will be guided from some faculty so that their startups may impact when they are graduated from here? Or all of them will be forced to start their career with the established organization?
So you probably heard of the National Incubation Center, that we have a huge footprint at LUMS. In the Science and Engineering building basement, you will see the kind of activity, the hub of exactly the kinds of things that you're talking about from disparate groups within LUMS and outside that are not only incubating but also accelerating their ideas forward, right? But I think at a more granular level, back to the question about 5 years hence and so on. Well, before we get to the 5 years, we better go through the first year. And that first year is going to be overwhelming for you. You know that. There's a lot of courses, a lot of different languages you have to learn in terms of the semantics of how people are thinking. And this is a broad curriculum that has been designed for you precisely to break those boundaries so your intellectual development occurs during the time you are here. Graduate programs are primarily for that. Let's not forget about that part. But I think Babar Sahab said it most succinctly. Success is going to be determined partly by luck. Let's not try and control everything. let it go. And the stories I hear from young people like yourself, there is a story we celebrated in orientation 3 days ago. 3 people from science and engineering felt that खाना बहुत waste होता है. जहाँ पर wherever they go, they find बचा हुआ खाना है, फेंक देते हैं लोग. So they started RISC, and you've probably heard of RISC. 3 guys, young guys, 2016 is their story, and they are recognized now as one of the top entrepreneurs in Pakistan, and not only Pakistan, but in Asia. And their work is just multiplying in the hundreds of thousands, and there's still 3 people who are living this dream. I don't think you need a lot of sophisticated technology ideas and so on. You're all here for a purpose. You will find that purpose, work with others. As Babar Saab has said, they will multiply your ideas, bounce your ideas with them. I mean, what a treat, what a privilege it is for all of us to be, side by side your journey. So success to yahin se shuru hogi. Aage dekhen jo hota hai wo hoga.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to our wonderful panel.